Welcome back to another Rise demo video. In this quick demo, I'm going to be building a UI in Appsmith for recording the work that's taken place in the factory. It's pretty simple, just entering actual quantities for all the materials. So far, I've just done a bit of boilerplate with some objects, just handling when they get shown versus not shown, and completing jobs and calling these queries. So the first query is getting the schedule for the operations requests that are released, ready, or running. Once you choose one, it then gives a bit more detailed information about each one you selected. And then when you choose which segment you're working on, it'll fire off a query to get all the material requirements and if there's material actuals and responses involved. And lastly, we've got a complete. This one's a variable as we don't know how many material actuals there are on each particular job. And then that's called, along with completing or setting to complete, all of the job orders, requirements, and responses involved. You'll notice that there's nothing for the overarching operations request. That'll be handled by our kind of CDC rules engine. It'll look for when all the requirements on an operations request are completed to then change that to complete as well. So I've got this call, which calls the microservice just to start the job. Check out our microservice generation video tagged up in the top right, or a link will be in the description. So that's kind of all the boilerplate. You can see I've referred to custom actuals form, but that doesn't exist yet. But that's what we're going to write now using AI. So we're going to bring in our custom widget, kind of developing this one for a mobile device that the operators are taking around the warehouse field with them. And let's go ahead and refresh here. I've just added these. So we'll choose the first one. Let's do the bulk loadout. And before I hit start, let's just have a quick look. What does that actually look like in the database? So query that schedule. We've got that first one here. Come down to segment requirement, the first one, and you see we don't have a status for the job. The segment requirement itself has some material requirements, no material actuals, that's blank. This bulk loadout here is ready, no responses. So we're going to start that job. I want to change this visible toggle switch on the right to not visible by default, so that the page actually looks like this when you preview it. And then we'll select our orders, bulk, loadout. Now, just before I hit start, I'll go down and take a look. This is what it looks like. You can see we've got the segment requirement with some material actuals. So we want 381 kilograms of this material. And that's ready. But there's no response, no material actuals yet. Job order exists, but no job response. So going back now, we press start. Now it's made this visible, so we'll check the preview quick. It is visible. And go down to just have another run of that query and see what we get. See, it's now running. And we do have a response and some material actuals. And we've got a segment response as well that's running. Okay, so let's go back to the work recorder. Now default model. So we want to get a segment of data. You can see here we've got a bunch of data. Again, I'm going to copy it in and I'm going to add an event. So we'll call that on submit. And execute the function and submit. And the data, we'll add that in just a second. We'll go to custom actuals form and let's edit the source. Okay, so we'll go over to our AI. And actually, I'll copy the model in. So given data with the above form, let's make a widget that shows a table of material requirements with the material ID and quantity required, and allows the user to enter the actual amount of material used. There should be a submit button at the bottom that triggers the action on submit and outputs an array called material actuals of the form. We want ID, string, and we're going to have actual quantity, number, and then quantity, measure, and string again. So that should be enough. I'm just going to make it so it uses the full width of the widget with no border. All right, so I've gotten it with kind of the data input that we want, but I've also given it a strict data output. But apart from that, I haven't actually said too much, so let's see what it comes up with. And yeah, I think that looks pretty good. And what I might do just to save some space is let's combine the required quantity and unit columns and give it the heading quantity, change the heading actual used to just actuals. We're imagining this is on mobile, so we want to save as much space as we can. All right, so we're going to be doing some editing of that. So you can see the material actuals will be fitting. Okay, let's give it a whirl. I've given us some actuals here. So let's say we do 400, 1200, 2000 and hit submit. What happens? Oh, you can see success there. So let's check, did it actually succeed or did I just fail to catch the logic properly? So go to schedule, refresh that. So we've got our material actuals. Let's add some amounts there. So you can tell, did I receive? Yeah, I did. 400, 1200, 2000, 1700. So it's captured those properly. Now, has it compiled the things? Yes, completed, 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 and completed. So there you go. And then let's try choosing the mixing operation. Start that one and do the same thing. And you can see success. So there you have it. That concludes this demonstration. Thank you for watching.